for the first generation that blend in both cultures, and that is where the advantage of being exposed to both cultures comes into play. So I don't like to see it as disadvantage. I enjoy to see it as advantage if I utilize it properly.
I hope you are not giving yourself consolation. I don't want to be sure. I don't want to be sure that you are not giving yourself consolation. Okay.
It's not consolation, though. It's just the
I definitely know that it's a difficult thing, to mix it. You were grown in a different culture, studying in a different culture. Back home is with your parents, it's another different culture you are. So some sort of confusion always come there. Is difficult. I totally agree with you. Okay. All right.
parents doesn't understand that
Yeah.
it pushes their kids away.
Yeah. So now, does this cultural differences or this cultural conflict or this cultural diversity or this cultural identity, does it in any way cause hate, cause peer pressure, cause any form of crime on migrant children? Or does it still push them, or not the other way around, to crime? Does it cause crime to them? Does it cause hate to them? Does it cause peer pressure to them? And the other way around, does it push them to do all those things as well? Do you understand the question? It's on both sides.
Yes, I know what you're saying. Again, that comes with when this set of kids are not utilizing the opportunity of being exposed to culture and to world. Yes, it causes hate, peer pressure, and crime. Again, if not properly handled. Just to dive deeper into it, it's obvious that this set of people are not fully accepted in neither of the cultures because they have not fully embodied any of these cultures fully. And because of that, a hunger to belong, to be seen, to be heard, to be understood, come. Parents are not mindful that this is just what it is. They pushes their kids, which in return builds a hate and resentment towards the kids, to their parents or to their family. And as a result of this, they say if you don't raise your kids, street is gonna raise your kids for you. So, because they're not getting the understanding, and because also our African culture, majority of them, they believe that kids and women are to be seen but not heard. And with some of the bad parental style method, again, it pushes kids away and builds hate. And before you know it, because they want to be accepted, they want to belong, they follow peer pressure to do what they do, which in return leads them into the path of either greatness or into the path of crime. So now you see they're all linked together: the crime, the peer pressure, and the hate.
Mm.
So it's a very in-depth stuff that people don't really understand, but it is.
So who is hating who here?
It could be both party,
Explain.
the family, having resentments on the kids because their view have changed from what they say. I know sometimes they say, this is not our culture, but not minding that you expose that kid to a different culture. So And when people are not in the same boat, if they don't understand that it's still okay not to be in the same boat and still coexist, hatred comes from either the family or the child. And before you know it, they start seeking for something else outside. And this happens a lot with migrant kids.
So, apart from the family, what about the societal hate? Is there any hate from the other culture? Because you are not in between cultures. We've talked about your family, which is original culture. What about the culture of the, like for example in America where you are, how does hate comes to play here? Because of cultural difference.
Okay, because at least from my experience, I'm not gonna like play whatever, trying to be perfect. I have, so some of the majority of the Americans, once they see my name, I'm using myself, I don't know about anybody else. Once they see my name, they automatically believe that I'm an African, okay? And they started treating me a certain way. And I flat out tell them the only thing African about me is my name. Other than that, nothing else is African about me. So don't get it mixed up. But with time goes on, they will understand it. I said, yeah, she Americanized. I said,
It's all right. Are you struggling to be American?
No, it's not.
Why do you have to explain that to them?
Because that is where this cultural identity, acceptance, belonging, trying to not to be put into the same box that they have put in our fathers, mothers, relatives that grew up in Africa and came to America. So trying to educate them that, listen, some African kids that were born here or raised here is different from our parents because they believe that we don't talk back because our parents doesn't talk back, but we talk back. That's the difference. But once they hear that, they're trying to put everybody in the same box, but we're not. So just to remind them, we are not.
I don't think it's not. I don't think it's all the African parents that came that doesn't talk back.
I know you talk back.
I talk back more than you. You can't mess with me anywhere in the world. You see, because as long as I'm in that country, I know the law in that country. You're not going to mess up. And you expect me to quiet? It's not going to happen, right? So we cannot generalize that most of the African parents don't talk back. Most of them talk back. Most of them that doesn't talk, most of them that do not talk about majority of them that are not quite exposed or quite educated. I can tell you that, right? So they feel now because maybe where they are working they can't get any other job in any other days. You're not limited. Where small child is telling you, sit down. Can you clean this one for me, please? Can you do that one for me, please? Are you normal? We they send that message. So if it's not normal what that child is doing, that anybody is doing, I'll tell you, bro, I'm not going to take that. So some of the African parents as well, they talk back. But I know where you are coming from. Unlike people who were born here, raised here, more African parents who came from home, especially those who have crossed the age of 25 before they came here, tends to accept most of the nonsense in the society, right? I totally agree with you. But there are exceptions to that, okay? There are exceptions to that. There are some of them that came from home said that their head is more hotter than when they're born there, all right? So, but let's leave that. You are very right. Now, how does this cultural identity, how does it attract crime? How does crime come to play? How does it bring crime? How is crime involved in this?
Okay, it's more like, how am I gonna say it? When these kids are out in the society and they're having a hunger to belong, to be accepted, and they are willing to do anything with their peers in order to belong in whatever culture they're trying to fully imagine in. And majority of the time, they engage in deviant behavior, which constitutes crime. And statistically, the rate of African kids in prison is becoming a little bit increased by the day. Okay? And again, it could not be nothing other than somewhat people trying to fit in completely, people trying to be accepted, to be understood, and it's just a hunger to belong.
Mm. So do you mean some people can go up to an extent doing crime just to belong or to fit in?
Absolutely. For example, people urging to fit in can lead to a lot of stuff. It can lead to associating in gangs, activities, joining a gang just for brotherhood, for sisterhood, for a father figure. People join these gangs for a different reason and motives. And before you know it, it's leading them into the stream of trying to prove something. And when you try to prove something, 9 out of 10 of the time, if it's not the right thing, it ends up in the wrong path.
It backfires.
So that's where the crime sets in.
All right. I think that's quite understood. Now, there's what we call cultural abandonment.
Okay.
And there's what we call cultural resentment. Right? Resentment. Okay. So that means abandonment is the ogapatapata of them all. Is the highest peak of it. The resentment is like the younger brother to abandonment. Do you understand my language? Yeah, you're in Nigeria. If you don't understand, that's your problem. Even I speak my language broken to Igbo here. If you don't understand, I'll tell you that's your problem. Go and figure it out. Because I need to sell my own culture as well. I'm first a Nigerian before being a British. So I'm not like you people that are now totally American all through. I can never be. In fact, I cannot talk too much. I'm first African man. You hear me? So if I speak to you with this same accent, I can code switch. If you see me talking to, like if I want to actually do that, code switch perfectly, and maybe if you're on phone with me, you will be asking who was talking. I can easily do that. But me, I go speak with that thick accent to Igbo. If you don't understand, it's a problem. Because I can't be struggling to hear you, then I'm struggling to speak to you. You know, if I struggle to hear you, you need to struggle to hear me too. So I know that was why I was a bit angry when you were saying you are trying to fit into like I don't try to fit into anybody. I am myself. I'm telling the simple truth, and I'm using the opportunity to give an advice to most of you who were born here or who were brought here when you were young. Baba, don't struggle to fit in. Be yourself. When God wants to locate you, He will locate you. In that foreign land where you are, you will employ even people you are trying to impress. You employ them. Don't fit in. Because you cannot be struggling to do things. How long will you struggle to impress people?
That's true.
Listen, if you are yourself and you are excelling, those people you see like they are superior, they will come to you to look for job. And they will be the one trying to fit in. I don't want to renew mindset. This is your interview. You need to carry your cross anyway.
But that's the thing. But just to piggyback on what you said, that is where parents plays a role, because I know my dad. I was raised here with my dad. I love him so much. So yeah, that's where you install that sense of belonging into, rather than want to keep up with the Jones mindset, keeping up with the Jones, will only lead you where Jones is if Jones is not going to the right direction.
All right. All right. So now we're talking about cultural resentment and we're talking about cultural abandonment.
Yeah.
Does this cultural identity in any way leads to cultural resentment / abandonment? Explain. Tell us.
I've seen it happen so many times that I couldn't even count. Again, parents, they don't quite really understand. But just to answer your question, 99.9% of humans goes towards what they identify the most than what they identify the least. And because of that, this migrant children being exposed to two different world and culture, and 9 out of 10, they are embodying more of the culture they're being raised in rather than the one they were being born into. And
it's all right. Hold on there first. Hold on. So okay. You, as Enugu Bill.
What? Why does it gotta be me?
It has to be you now. We must have a case study here. You were not born in America, were you?
No, I was raised in America. I'm a first generational Nigerian American.
How old were you when you came to America?
I was young. My brain is still young. That's just the least that I could say. But
okay. Now.
Yeah.
You were raised in America. Now, which culture have you resented or abandoned? And which one have you imbibed? Which one have you adopted? I want to know.
Why do you think gotta be me?
Yeah, what I like practical. I like if you always follow me on my political now. So I'm a practical person. So which one have you abandoned or resented, and which one have you adopted to survive in America? I want people to learn.
Okay. You are putting me on a high horse, to be honest.
It's all right. Continue. You are doing well. You have been doing well.
And I'm a very honest person. And I know this is online, and I know people are watching. Again, I love the family. I love my dad. I love him so much. He taught me a lot. He raised me, which I love him. I respect him. However, I know this is online. It's emotional, but with my experience, my rejections from the culture that I was born into. I picked the culture that I was raised into. The pain, the disappointment, the misunderstanding, the ridiculousness from the family, from the African, Nigerian, Igbo community. Sometimes they tell me that I'm not one of them. Sometimes they tell me that Ibakata. Sometimes they call me all kind of a thing. They judge me for the culture that I embody. They welcomed me with open arms. They're not judgmental. They love me. And I feel much more accepted there. And that is where my allegiance and loyalty lies. So that's just it. But does it mean that I dislike Africans, Nigerians, Igbos? No, it's just with what I have been through, went through, I picked a side, and it's not the side of people that I was born into. It is the one that I was raised into.
Okay. That's a very good one. So, from the degree of your cultural identity effect, can you say now, at this degree, that you have resented or abandoned the African culture? Which one have you done? Resented or abandoned?
All I know is normal human being doesn't want to be in a place where they're going to be judged, where they're going to be misunderstood or unaccepted. They want to be in a place that they will be accepted and understood and seen and heard. And the culture that I have embodied, that I grew up in, don't just see me, they hear me, they're not judgmental, they understand. And that's very important.
Thank you. Thank you. It doesn't still answer my question. It doesn't still answer my question. Thank you very much. I understand that it doesn't answer my question. My question is, from the degree of the effect cultural identity have exhibited in you or have shown to you or have done to you, can you say you have now resented or abandoned your African culture? So I don't know the answer. You have not said the answer.
But what I'm just gonna say is, I'm a first generational Nigerian American.
So you didn't answer. You didn't answer it now.
And the only thing African about me is my name.